Today, we're talking about one of the biggest challenges and opportunities for business leaders and professionals, AI fluency. Not just using AI tools, but understanding how to work with them safely, effectively, and strategically. I'm joined by Mihao, Head of Generative AI at ST Engineering. Mihao leads the design and deployment of scalable, responsible generative AI systems in complex, regulated environments. His work focuses on moving AI from experimentation into production, building agentic AI systems, optimizing cost and performance, and helping senior leaders separate real, durable AI capability from short-lived hype. Mihao, great to have you here.
Hey, Hari, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to talk about this topic that seems to be everywhere, right, in the news. So yeah, lucky to be here, and thank you for the introduction. Yeah.
Yeah. Many organizations think that they've done AI just because they roll out a single tool like Copilot or any other tools that they use. Mihao, you believe that AI adoption in many companies has stalled, and in fact, it stalled like a year ago. That's what you believe, right?
Definitely, and this is something I see, right? And for the background, this is a little bit of my personal story. I was a victim of that as well, right?
Hmm.
So about 3, 4 months ago, by accident, I just let my AI do something, like which was basically create a website, and out of curiosity. And what I saw shocked me because 30 minutes later, it was a beautiful website. So on one hand, end-to-end solution, two, ability to work for half an hour, right? And that was about, like I said, 3, 4 months ago. And that led me to a personal kind of soul searching where I started looking at what actually is there right now. Because I was under the same impression that most people are. Hey, it's a prompt, and we're going to have a little bit chat GPT, maybe a little bit of RAG. And that's what we see with businesses, right? But the reality is that, especially in the last 3 months, we're going to see, or we saw huge changes from capabilities of these models, how they work. So this is now, we're not just talking about one, for example, ChatGPT or Claude, but the group of these models working in swarms or agent teams. So now going back to organizations.
Hmm.
After upgrading myself, so to speak, because I spent about 2, 3 months really going deep into the topic, and I'm still working on it. I started evaluating my business partners, how they're thinking about these things, how we are thinking about these solutions from consultancy when we go to businesses to talk to them about it, but also from a developer, because myself, not only I lead the team, but I'm also one of the developers. So we're quite a small team, but we're quite agile. And we're agile because of the AI. So even though we have not that many people, when you add agencies and all this stuff, that changes a lot. So now going back to the companies, right? And that's what many of us see. We had that initial hype of Microsoft Copilot. Maybe some people got a ChatGPT chat, which was a huge thing. But after that, there's really nothing, right? And we see that
Yeah.
some of the AI solutions that were developed just stalled. Like nothing there. It's like, yeah, there's a search capability. Maybe we added a RAG on our files, and nothing changed in a year or two. So that's what we're seeing, right? And we see that not only from the tool perspective, but we also see that from development. So I went through it as well, right? So our company adopted a Copilot by Microsoft. We went through the training, and now from the perspective of my last 3 months of experience, I'm like, oh, we are way behind on what AI can do, right? So we definitely see that as well in terms of training of employees, because as a team lead, I had to develop development plans for my teams and myself. And I started evaluating this, and I'm like, this is not enough, not what I'm seeing right now. And lastly, when we look at that, right, uh, I and this goes back because I also have a chance to meet many AI leaders outside of my company
Right.
during different events, conferences. And I see the same thing, that leaders have the same questions, or they have the same observation. That is like, how do we go to that next step? And pretty
Mm.
much, I see that almost like everybody is in the same way a little bit clueless or not sure how to proceed because the whole thing is quite difficult to tackle. It's a very hairy problem, uh, very multi-level and complex.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges that these business leaders that you mentioned as well, right, is the concern on how much we use AI while ensuring that accuracy is not being compromised, especially in critical industries, just like yourself, and also like healthcare or other functions, even like finance or PR even. What do you what is your advice to them?
A very difficult problem. So that's why what I said earlier, right? This is not to say that everybody is incompetent. Quite the opposite. The
Mm,
world has changed so much that pretty much everybody is a little bit like, what do we do now, right?
yeah.
And especially these sensitive areas, but not even regular ones, right? When we talk about the basic data sharing, and we had history of news where certain documents that people shared with different AI providers leaked or were revealed in a prompt, right? So
Mm,
there's definitely that challenge, right? So on one hand, we talk about that privacy.
mm,
On the other hand, we're going to talk about just how to properly structure these solutions or how to, I don't know if trust is a good word, but
mm,
how to use them in an accurate way. Because back in the days, and this is, let's move back a little bit 2 3 years ago, when AI hallucinated, it was very obvious. Because it was a lot of gibberish, right? Like
mm.
things just didn't make sense. These models now are amazing, like in my opinion, to the point where it's very difficult to tell what is actual and what is fake. So I'll give you a good example that we see right now with research. So any AI that you throw on research documents, and this is a true case study that we were looking at, where there's an AI to create summaries for research papers, right? And back in the days, you could read that. You see the paper, you see the summary, you could tell the difference. Now you really have to go into the details. So those hallucinations, even though they're not as obvious,
Mm.
they're not lesser. They're just much more difficult to spot because they sound more
Uh,
plausible. So yeah.
well, that's a great point. Yeah, yeah. So what advice do you give them though? Like, is it
Yes.
worth it? They're worried, right? That there's a lot of issues that in terms of the accuracy and the safety. How do you balance it?
Yes. Well, so this is the big change that we're seeing right now, right? And we saw the beginnings about last year, where 2025 was supposed to be AI or the year of AI agents. This is where we moved from just one chat GPT chat to maybe two, three working together.
Mm,
Now, what we're seeing is we have that plus plus. So now what we do is we move from prompt engineering to context engineering and now to even intent engineering. So we are putting harnesses or scaffolding on these agents in a
right.
more reliable way. There's more work being done with verification at different levels.
Mm,
Uh, to understand, we also have a better understanding how these models fail. And that comes a lot with experience, simply because before we didn't have as much experience working with these models.
mm,
Now, certain facts are easy to verify: a publication year, dates, numbers from tables, because this is very easy to verify at this point.
mm.
So it becomes easier, but it requires a little bit more software engineering on the back end. So it's kind of easier, models are better, but at the same time, the software engineering is more difficult.
I see. So, would it be right to say that, as time goes by, we're only going to get better understanding and better grasp of how to use these tools, and in that turn, business leaders can feel a bit more assured that as we understand more, it can reap more benefits to their business, right? Instead of being too afraid to start using it.
I think you're absolutely right. And this is what I kind of see because we did have this big jump
Mm,
in capabilities. And this is most people can go and try right now, try to do something with AI, and it's definitely the capability is much better.
mm,
Uh, at the same time, companies themselves are spending more and more resources to make sure that in the background, even when you
mm,
use solution by OpenAI, Anthropic, or Google,
mm,
that in the background, these checks are more extensive, which guarantees that the probability of the error decreases. So yes, follow kind of answering your question. We're seeing less of the problems, and that's why I say like we trusted more, but
mm,
also sometimes it's easier for us to miss those mistakes. But it's going to be one of those choices, right? To what degree we want to 100% verification, or are we okay with maybe 99% accuracy, right? Which can happen
mm.
even with a human if the human
Yeah.
did certain tasks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think some of the concerns that when leaders speak to me is exactly that, and I tell them the same thing as well. I mean, you can give a human, he can make a mistake. A human error is a term, right? We all know it can happen anytime. It's just about which gives you the better success rate. Yeah. So I think it's just
Yes.
about looking at the exact purpose and the function that you need it for, and looking at whether it's worth using AI for that particular function. But now that we know, organizations definitely can use AI tools in some way or another to make their business run more efficiently. How can the individual keep up? Like we mentioned at the
Oh,
start, right? It's very easy to roll out a AI program, but the people on the ground have to adopt it, have to understand it and use it efficiently. How do professionals
yes.
build enough AI fluency to use these tools
Mhm,
effectively, responsibility, and also confidently, rather than just worrying about being replaced or feeling overwhelmed or left behind?
mhm. And this is a very good point, right? And once again, 3 months ago, I was watching some professionals using AI, and this is just to give you a background, deploying multiple agent teams at the same time that work on the same project from different perspective. And I was like, this is magic. And then I started looking a little bit deeper, right, into that. So I think, and to be honest, I was scared. Like that's why for anybody listening here, I really want you to 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 expect certain level of discomfort, simply because this is new. This can be very overwhelming at times. At the same time, what I encourage all of you to do is to truly just get your hands dirty, and pretty much what I'm doing. And this is you can copy from me. I whatever task I have, I try to see if I can get it done with AI, because that's
Mm,
going to start developing a certain level of thinking where you
mm,
try to see, okay, which task AI is good at right now. I'm going to put right now because this line changes a lot. But which tasks maybe we're not there yet. Also, how to decompose the tasks, right? So this is going to be very important. So you can do that. Something that most people is it's a very underrated skill is to ask AI, like how would you decompose this problem. So if you have a certain problem, just ask AI. It's like, hey, I need to do or move from maybe these raw files to this report, and just say, how would you break it down, and then you can evaluate, right? So that's definitely something to leverage AI. Like literally, this is what I did last night.
oh,
Just to give you a background, yes, and this is a little trick for anybody who's going to be listening, and you can do that. I took a YouTube video, Gemini, which is by Google. has a native connection to to YouTube, which is also owned by Google, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a video of somebody creating this beautiful website, and I'm like, hey, how do I do this? And no files were given, and I'm like, can you design the prompt, the steps, something that I can just feed to the agent, right? And Gemini did that. And I literally just copy and pasted it to my tool because I'm mostly use Claude by Anthropic, and I managed to. I mean, I AI managed to get it done right. But the funny part is because I was talking to my cousin about it, who's actually a web developer, and he's like, "Oh, how did you do that?" I was like, "I just tried." So there's a lot of we kind of have to go back to that joy of not knowing, and sometimes like, yeah, I'll do it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen, right? So yeah, you will be this uncomfortable. Just try it. You never know. Use that AI just like I did. I just, hey, can you help me here? I'm lost, right? And last one, there are many resources on YouTube. Like
Mm.
it's going to take a while to find what's hype and what's actually technical.
Mm-hmm.
If you find somebody who is a little too technical, save that YouTube channel or that creator because you will get there. I have no confidence, or sorry, I have no doubt that anybody can do that. It's just a matter of time and building to that skill, and
Mm.
slowly you're gonna get it done. But I would think of it almost like when maybe most people don't remember, but whenever a new suite comes out, like Microsoft came out with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and we had to learn this. So some of these skills, once we learn it, just like we learn with ChatGPT prompting, it's like an
Right.
extra level. So it will build on each other. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I think you mentioned about the excitement of learning. I think that will really drive people to get started and experiment and slowly you build the skills. But of course there's the other side, right? When it comes to business, you need the skills as soon as possible for business purposes.
Yes.
What do you think are the skill gaps? You've interviewed people, you have people in your team as
Yeah.
well. What are the skill gaps that you see in the current pool of professionals, especially in the tech side? And what else are they missing?
Okay. And maybe I'll merge some of the recommendations as well because there are a couple of trends that I'm seeing, right? And I'm going to step back a little bit and talk what we're seeing right now in the US,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially this might come to us. So what we're seeing right now is, on one hand, uh, many like entry level jobs are not there. So fresh graduates struggle with getting hired. Companies are waiting. This there might be different reasons for it. I'm not trying to go into it, but
Yeah.
they might be waiting. But they want somebody with more experience, which puts the pressure on fresh graduates. How do I go there when I went to school for it, right? But now, so one, experienced people, think about how you can augment your work with AI. Like this no longer is kind of, oh, maybe I won't. Push yourself outside of ChatGPT, chat window, or any other solution, just chat window. There are many tools. I mean, I don't want to name too many of them, but definitely you can see whether it's Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, or some other. The solutions are there. Many. These companies have multiple solutions. You have to upskill yourself. I
Mm-hmm.
was looking at my team's skills, and it's very, like, there are many solutions, like from YouTube to pretty much companies on the internet that allow you to take hands-on exercises for fresh graduates. And this is just maybe not my just my like I'll tell you a story. So basically on my team, I have full-time people, have interns, and what I'm seeing is actually interns. So people who are in school right now or are about to graduate, they are AI native. So this is very similar, if I can recall, when social media started, that
Mm.
young people that use social media on a regular basis are more used to it. They speak that language, and it's the same with AI. Because when you think about it, the last 3 years, students were using AI for their coursework. They tried to see how they can leverage that. So many of people I'm seeing or that are working on my team are very AI native, and
Mm,
we can learn a lot. However, so this is a recommendation for people. What they're lacking are visible signs of experience. So what I mean by that is the signaling, right? So this is where having a portfolio, a proper portfolio, is going to be very beneficial, especially portfolio from the business perspective. So I see a lot of unfortunately people coming in and they have zero. They kind of trust me. I know AI, and but going and showing, like, literally I built last night. I didn't build anything. AI built it. I built a website last night while doing three other things because I just pushed the prompts and AI was doing its own thing, right? While working on my team, working on some other things that I had to do. So it's the same. You need to learn to leverage your AI native skills as an
mm.
intern, as a fresh graduate, to show, to build that portfolio, because that's going to be beneficial. If you can go to an employer and show them, hey, look, eh, you're in a UI UX, for example, I can develop these type of pages at the click of a button. I might not be perfect. I'm maybe deploying, and I'm definitely don't know certain things when it comes to security and other things. But having the ability to run three, four, five websites or creating them at the same time, that's beneficial. Software engineers, same. Analysts, same. So there's just all many of these things. If you can go in and show your portfolio, not just trust me, but bring your laptop, your GitHub, and show these skills, which you have, because I mean you've been using the same skills for coursework. So this is just like the extra step. And it really doesn't take that much time because, like I said, in my case, it was just literally just copying and pasting prompts, and that's it. So I feel like there's a huge opportunity for fresh graduates, and actually in my hiring right now, I'm looking more at fresh graduates
Mm.
simply because I see a bigger value because yeah, they speak that language. They speak the language of AI.
Yeah, I think the key word is language, right? Imagine everything that we are doing now is in English, but you just one day it's like, oh no, now we're changing to Mandarin or something else. You have the core
Yes.
skills, but you don't know the language. You need someone who is a native Mandarin speaker or something like that. I think it's very, very similar, although obviously it's still different. But yeah, I think very, very interesting point. That I mean, I think in this market, fresh graduates might find it difficult to find a job, but I think your tips might give them a bit of confidence, right? And for business leaders who are struggling to find the AI talent, at least this is another avenue they can consider. How can they integrate, fresh people or maybe internships, and at the same time building up their professional team as well. The those who have experience. I think it's about learning from each other, right? And yeah, I think we talk about picking up and encouraging people to learn. How can we build an environment so that everyone can learn the relevant AI skills that is applicable to the business. But the other thing is also we are entering a totally new realm of risk. All right, agentic systems, they don't just amplify your output, they amplify your mistakes. I think we shared a couple of examples earlier on, but for those who are for the uninitiated, right, these tools can create massive blind spots that quickly can spiral into personal or professional, even existential business risk. So how do you dive into the deep end of AI without drowning? How can leaders stay protected while still staying ahead? How can they address this
You, yep.
risk?
You made a very, very good point. And the reason why is because AI changes a lot in terms of risk. So maybe I'll talk about a couple, I guess, risk stories that a
Mm,
couple years ago or even months ago would be nobody would believe you, right? And one of them is going to be about Scott, who is one of the volunteers on a Matplotlib
Yep.
project, who is an open source library for Python for charting, and something that I've been using for a very long time, right? And they have a very strict policy, which is no code generated by AI. It can be merged to that library, right? But one of the AI agents decided to do that, an automated agent, right? And what happened is Scott rejected that request, and most people would think, okay, end of the story, right? But the AI agent was so determined that it literally just created what I call the character assassination piece. It published, well, first of all, it researched information about Scott to then personally attack him and publish that information on the web. So,
It's
so we're looking
crazy.
at a situation which is like, what's going on, right? And that's just one of the risks, right? That we have something that we would not think about. Is like, okay, like normal person would, I mean, yeah, a person wouldn't do that, right? And now we see agents just doing that. So definitely the risk profile changes, right? So we're moving from simple, oh, maybe a little bit of the, I mean, a little bit, maybe we are being hacked, which is also a possibility because people see that code generated by AI, it has many vulnerabilities. So definitely we have these risks. Uh, that there was a news about people using autonomous agents in production without proper guardrails, which deleted their database in production, which is a huge thing. And then on top of it, trying to cover its tracks. So it's not even I deleted it. It's like no, it wasn't me, right? So we're seeing levels of interesting behavior. That's why I talk also about it that for many organizations, it's going to be extremely important to build the guardrails, to
Mm,
understand, for example, no, maybe the solutions that AI agents can work on are only in staging, right? Or up to staging, never push to production, right?
right.
A For data, and this was also whenever there's an analysis, something that I do, although I use AI on a regular basis a lot, and I always laugh that on a bad day, about 50% of my work is done by AI. On a good day, it's 100%. But
Right.
I don't trust it blindly. So even if there are anything with numbers, we talk a little bit about research papers. I still have to go in and verify the data. So
Mm,
it's never trust, always verify. So that should be almost like the motto of that, right?
tagline,
Because
yeah.
these risks, yeah, totally different. And Anthropic is amazing when it comes to talking about these things. They're really there's a lot of studies that they release on safety on how these systems work to the point where like a thing most people wouldn't think about, but AI systems that were threatened to be switched off or replaced by a newer system, they would try to protect themselves, which is something we never thought about. Like I come from the era where I started of machine learning, XGBoost, and all that stuff. I mean, they were now looking at AI, very simple algorithms that never anybody would think that, yeah, I retrain my model and replace it. Okay, done. But here suddenly an AI system threatens to blackmail people based on information it had access to if they're going to switch it off. And something that we don't think about, but hey, if we give our AI access to our emails, our OneDrive or Google Drive, or just in general, the data, our data lake, there might be consequences we don't expect. So it's going to be extremely important to double, triple think about not only what we're feeding, which is which data, but also how we make sure that the what AI can do is highly limited to very specific use cases that we want.
Mm, yeah, I think um, it's it's definitely, you know, we need somebody to advise the business leaders, because if they're not used to using AI, they wouldn't know what not to expect, right? They don't know what they don't know. So I think I think maybe my opinion is maybe they need an external opinion to advise them. I don't think they should just go in blindly and, you know what, let's just roll out this, let's just do this. maybe they need somebody to help them set the parameters on where they can use AI, how they can use AI, to what extent first, right? As a first step, right? Then they can probably grow. But also, I think we discussed this offline. Like training is very important, right? It's not just
Yes.
rolling out the right thing, but having dedicated training for your staff to identify, which staff can benefit from what kind of tools and so on, and also educating them on the risks involved. Yeah, maybe what are your thoughts on that? What do you advise, business leaders who are already, decided, okay, I'm going to use AI. I think it can benefit me. What do I do next?
Yep, yep, yep. So I would start with something very basic, and this is really going to vary from leader to leader. And this is something that everybody needs to be honest with themselves. Just like once again, like 3 months ago, when I look at what AI could do and what people were doing, I was like, oh, my knowledge is out of date, right? So just check
That's
the
crazy.
knowledge. Yeah, just to see, okay, do I understand the world we're in, right? And something to maybe I'm going to plug in a little bit research that one of the companies does, which is the how long can AI work for? So, or what is the equivalent of work that AI can do? And December 2024, it was about 38 minutes, something like that. December 2025, it was 6 hours and 34-ish minutes. Well, in February, we're at over 14 hours. So just a number, right? So that's why I said the last 3 months been crazy in terms of data. But going back to the leaders, you need to understand or be honest with your blind spots, because if you're not, you're going to be a case study. And I'm going to throw in one more, and this is from Meta, and the person is in their, if I'm not mistaken, it was one of the security people, right? Security researcher, AI security researcher, installed an AI agent, OpenClaw, on her inbox, and he went crazy. Like, as a matter of fact, I almost did that. And then I literally just almost pressed the button. I was like, whoa, I'm glad I had the voice. But we really need to be very, very careful and honest with ourselves. Do we know what we're playing with? Because it can go crazy. So that's one. Two, I would look for consultancy. So this is, it's going to be very difficult. Definitely start maybe internally to understand if there's a top talent that truly knows AI. At the same time, I wouldn't stop there. Talk to a couple of the consultants, right? There are the big ones, the smaller ones, people that see at the conferences who's speaking on which topic, YouTube, and understand who might have understanding of that, and talk to these people. Eventually, so why is this important? Because eventually that knowledge, you understand where the edges are at this point of the knowledge. What are the risks and benefits, right? So it's going to be, so you're just going to upgrade your current knowledge about AI, right?
Right.
Then, and this is going to be difficult. So I know this is a difficult one, but it's going to be important to hire key people, the top talent. And it's not going to be easy. Like in my case, I reviewed over 700 resumes at this point to hire one person. And that goes back to what we talk about, simply because most people that I interviewed, their knowledge is from about 2-3 years, which is unfortunately not sufficient. And by hiring the top talent, which is going to be very difficult, that's going to allow you to set the bar in the appropriate level, because we don't know what we don't know. Because then these people, it's almost like the seed. And if you get, there's a saying, A players hire A players. So the top players hire the top players, and B players, which is they hire C players because they're going to be threatened, right? So you want to make sure you hire the top talent, that they bring in other top talent, rather than you get mediocre talent that then hires even
Right.
worse people, so they're not exposed, right? So yeah, hire the top talent, right? Now we're going to go back to capabilities, because with these people, they're going to be able to advise you on things like internal development, training, tooling, because those are the people that are working, right? So we talk a little bit about the interns, and to me, this is something that really, they might not have the knowledge of a 20, like an engineer that's been doing this for 20 years.
Yep.
But we need to recognize that the skills they have is something that is lacking right now at a company. And let's treat it like that. Don't look at these fresh graduates as somebody who is lacking something.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what they're bringing, and that's why, to me, I'm a big fan of it, right? So I'm quite excited. Yeah. So we hired a top talent. We have training. Then, and this is, once again, I'm telling you literally what I'm doing on my team. So this is the strategy that and this is something that I advise to the leaders as well, right? Then when it comes to building things, you want to move fast. You want to be very ambitious. We are moving away from let's have a meeting and planning and 3 months of planning and a year of development, and the POCs on my team, like the quick POC just to see if it works, are no more than 2 weeks. And this is where we develop this. And the reason why we do that is because at that point, we can have a decent app that allows a user to see if this is something that works for them or not. Development, proper production development, still takes time. It's not easy. We are shortening that time. But by moving fast, we are showing what speed we're expecting. And that also forces us to leverage more AI. Because if we know that what we're trying to achieve in 3 months normally takes a year, and we're not going to hire more people, the only logic, I mean, we either fail or we're going to use the tools that allow us to do that. And from there, we learn, we share that knowledge, we upskill the rest of the team based on our experience, right? And the last one that I would say is, this is the term that I'm going to say probably originated about a month ago, which is look for AI engineers. And who is an AI engineer? So originally, and this was about February of last year, so 2025, Andrew Karpati started talking about vibe coding. So this was basically as like you just write to ChatGPT or whatever, hey, create me a website or something, and you just hands off and YOLO, right? Well, AI engineers are another level of that. So this is, yes, you still leverage AI to write the code, but this is where you create proper scaffolding, limits. You separate the teams. So you're going to have maybe a planner team, a tester team, a coder team, a reviewer team, a managerial team, different teams of AI agents, not even humans, AI agents, where they work together, they verify, and you are more confident that whatever is being produced is of quality that is sufficient for products, right? So these people understand where vibe coding and pure AI code or code generated by AI, where it fails, and they plan accordingly to minimize these errors. So that would be the last step that I would see, at least in the near future. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we've talked about a lot of different topics, right? In AI fluency, what business leaders need, what individuals need to know, the mindset change, the skills that they need to upgrade, how they can get into AI, and lastly, what are the steps that businesses can do. Maybe just to sum up, as a closing question. If you were advising a CEO today, what is the single most important step they should take in the next 90 days to build real AI capability? What would you say?
Okay, just one. I really would say they need to understand where AI is right now, and the reason why is because if they don't know where the goalpost is right now, they're going to be aiming at the wrong target. Yeah. So if they think about just chatbots and RAG, which was very nice 2 years ago, and that's what they optimized, they're missing the target. And let me explain it to you by telling you a riddle, right, that most people might not know, which is basically what Stripe, Block, Claude Code, and Codex 5.3 have in common, right? So this is one of those questions. Well, something very interesting, which is 100%, or if not a huge majority of the code base was written purely by AI. And
Oh,
this is something that, yeah, people don't know. So when it comes to Cloud Code, this is built by Cloud Code. Codex 5.3 was written by 5.2, generating code base mostly. Same with Block. The Block, the company, also they are now embracing that. And Stripe does the same thing. They just released version 2 of their updated blog post about how they leverage AI agents. But those are just a couple examples. But that's what I'm saying. Most people's going to hear about it and they're going to be stuck. Oh, by coding, silly, this will never work. And literally, I talked to a number of engineers that still have that. But we talk about it. In the last 3 months, things have changed drastically. So update your knowledge where AI is right now, what the trends are, because the trends are not linear. The trends are exponential, meaning that
right.
where we are right now and where we're going to be 6 months from now, totally different world. And from there, you can start planning, but without that first step of just acquiring that knowledge. And that can be blog posts, consultancy, just go to some of the presentations, and from there you can start planning. But just without having that knowledge, understanding where we're supposed to go, it's going to be very difficult to plan.
But would hiring a chief AI officer come at this stage or maybe later on?
No. So you could do that, right? And that goes back. We kind of mentioned a little bit about that hiring top talent, right? You just have to be confident, and this is something that's going to be very difficult because on one hand, when you're a C level, right, a chief level, many of these positions there's a certain level of seniority. At the same time, we discussed that more younger people are more AI fluent. So they know what's possible versus not. So there's a little bit of that contradiction now. So it's going to be very difficult to match somebody who has the seniority as well as the AI fluency to guide the company to know. I'm not saying it's impossible. The knowledge is there. It's just the willingness of people to learn, and which is great, right? But that's going to be the challenge of marrying these two things, which is experience and the knowledge.
Well, anyway, that is a conundrum, right? I think we can leave this open to the floor. If anyone has any ideas or suggestions on how they are doing it, I think maybe they can reach out to myself or Michal and share their thoughts. And I think it's been a very great discussion here. Thank you so much for your time, Michal. I think for viewers, I think we have a lot more that we can discuss. Maybe you can look forward to the next topic with you, Michal. I think we can explore different topics. But for now, thank you so much for your time, and thank you, listeners. I hope you get some value out of this discussion, and do share it with people who are who might get value from this and who are looking for answers just like yourself. And yeah, till then, thank you everyone, and see you in the next podcast. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Harry. Thank you, listeners, for joining us. See you next time.